CIA documents reveal the truth about Stepan Bandera as rampant anti-Semitism is unleashed in Ukraine while mobs desecrate Red Army soldier monuments. Disinformation never stops, but neither do we. Welcome to StopFake, the place where we set the record straight on fakes about Ukraine. So let's get to it. Pro-Kremlin media often refer to World War II-era Ukrainian nationalist leader Stepan Bandera, whom they love to use for propaganda against Ukraine, often calling him Hitler's agent or a Ukrainian fascist. Usually, the Kremlin has referenced their own propaganda, but this time, Russian media allege that a recently declassified CIA archival document is the evidence of Bandera's complicity with the Nazis. But in fact, there is no CIA document. The reality is that the document is an English-language translation of an article from the Russian émigré Menshevik journal Socialist Courier from 1951, and the information presented in the article is quite far from reality. The Russian Defense Ministry organ Zvezda calls Bandera a Nazi war criminal. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesman Maria Zakharova also calls the translated article a CIA document and accuses Ukrainian officials of cynically and brazenly denying the obvious. Now, the Socialist Courier article written by Pyotr Yarovoy claims that during Bandera's time, some 5,000 Ukrainians were killed, 15,000 Jews, and several thousand Poles, and he calls Bandera a Ukrainian fascist and Hitler's professional spy. Now, the piece being touted as a declassified CIA document is simply an English-language translation of an article from the Socialist Courier magazine, a publication of the Russian Democratic Labour Party, the Mensheviks, which was published in Paris and New York from 1921 through 1965. The author, Pyotr Yarovoy, does not indicate any sources for his claims, and there is no information about Yarovoy himself either. The Insider Project notes that in his book, Prospects for the Ukrainian Revolution, Bandera mentions a certain Petro Yablon Yarovoy and calls him a provocateur. The Leakbez Project, which refutes historical fakes, wrote the following about Stepan Bandera, quote, "Upon release from Polish prison in 1939, Stepan Bandera was free for less than 2 years. His correspondence with the Reich Chancellery about the prospects of the Ukrainian question was conducted in heated tones and contained threats from his side. After proclaiming the restoration of the Ukrainian state on June 30th, 1941, Bandera was again arrested by the Gestapo, and by the autumn of 1944, he is a political prisoner in the Sachsenhausen concentration camp. After his release, Bandera refused to coordinate organization of Ukrainian nationalist actions with Berlin. Bandera's 2 brothers died in the Auschwitz death camp. Meanwhile, the Historical Truth website, a publication dedicated to supporting historical truth, published a letter to Himmler from the main SS Directorate Chief Gottlieb Berger about conversations that he had had with Bandera. Berger wrote, "My general impression is that this is a clever, stubborn, fanatical Slav. True to his idea till the end. He is incredibly valuable to us at the present time. He hates both Russians and Germans." In his letter, Berger also asks for permission to use Bandera and activate the nationalist independence movement. Bandera, however, refused to cooperate with him. Last month, Russian propagandist media returned to one of its main anti-Ukrainian narratives, alleging rampant anti-Semitism and nationalism in Ukraine. This latest fake is about a group of 30 right-wing radicals armed with knives and clubs who allegedly attacked a group of Hasidic Jews in Uman, a city in central Ukraine that is the burial place of Rebbe Nachman, the founder of the Breslov Hasidic movement. According to the Russian monarchist Orthodox site Tsargrad, a mob of fascist youths followers of nationalist leader Bandera attacked Jews who were gathered by Nachman's grave. The Vzгляд newspaper further claims that local police encouraged the fight, which resulted in 4 Jews being taken to a local hospital in serious condition. The original source of this dubious tale was a January 11th story in the English-language site Yeshiva World, claiming that a group of 30 Ukrainian thugs went on a rampage in Uman and mercilessly beat Jews. The fake was quickly picked up by the pro-Russian television channel 112 and continued to spread through both Russian and Ukrainian media, both of which enhanced the fake with claims of ever-increasing radicalism and nationalism in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine's National Police Central Office promptly responded to the claims and sent an investigation team to Uman. They found no trace of injured Jews being admitted to local hospitals or contacting the local police and concluded the entire story was a fake. Uman City Administration has advised that the Ukrainian State Guard Service will protect Rabbi Nachman's grave in Uman, and additional CCTV cameras will be installed in the Hasidic Cultural Center. Despite the Kremlin's systemic disinformation campaign about anti-Semitism in Ukraine, the annual Israeli report on anti-Semitism in the world reveals a record low level of intolerance against Jews in Ukraine in 2018. Presented in 2019 by the Israeli Minister for Diaspora Relations, Naftali Bennett, the report states that anti-Semitic incidents in Ukraine were inspired from outside by forces hostile to Ukraine and aimed at discrediting Ukraine in the eyes of the world community. Earlier this month, pro-Kremlin media declared Ukraine is massively demolishing and desecrating monuments to Red Army soldiers, demonstrating once again that neo-Nazism is growing in Ukraine. But this claim is completely untrue. While some 2,500 monuments were dismantled in Ukraine as part of the country's official decommunization policy, most of them were statues and busts of Vladimir Lenin. Russian Deputy Defense Minister Andrei Kartapolov declared that, quote, neo-Nazism is raising its head in many countries, including, strange as it may seem, in those who helped defeat Nazi Germany in 1945. Memorials to Red Army soldiers who defeated fascism are being demolished in Poland, the Baltic countries, and Ukraine. In April of last year, summing up 4 years of decommunization efforts by Ukraine's National Memory Institute, its director Volodymyr Vyatrovich reported that more than 2,500 monuments of various communist leaders were dismantled, the majority of which were Lenin statues, busts, and plaques. Ukraine's decommunization laws are very clear that monuments that are symbols of communist and totalitarian rule are to be dismantled. Memorials and statues that honor the resistance and struggle against Nazi occupation of Ukraine, or cultural or scientific figures or events, are not part of the decommunization effort. In 2015, Ukraine's legislature enacted a law stating that monuments and commemorative sculptures honoring the participants and victims of World War II should be protected and preserved. That's it for this week. You can find much more dissected disinformation on our website, StopFake.org. Be vigilant, look out for fakes, and if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.